draining my hot water heater with a little help from this Drummond Transfer Pump from Harbor Freight. Coming right up. Hi folks, thanks for tuning in to Lenderman Shop today. We are going to drain our hot water heater. I am currently at our mountain house in the Poconos, Pennsylvania. We have well water. There's a lot of sediment in the tank. So I'm going to go ahead and drain it. Now, a little backstory is that I drained this hot water heater a few months ago. We're in June right now. I drained it in March, and there was a lot of brown sediment coming out. So we had some more sediment last week, and I thought it might be rust. So the plumber stopped by just to kind of look at things, and he had highly advised that I go ahead and drain it again before we talk about replacing the tank. He's pretty confident that it is actual sediment. We had a lot of sediment from the well. We do have a filter and all that, so we're going to do it step by step here before we, last resort would be replacing the hot water heater. Now, again, a little side story from that is I had a plumber come out for a different issue with our hot water heater at home, which is on city water. We have a whole house water filter at home. And the plumber there suggested that since I haven't drained that hot water heater since we've had it for about 8 years now, he said, don't bother draining it. It's running fine. Your hot water heater's doing what it needs to do. He said, don't fool with it now. So depending on your situation, you may not need to drain it. I have to drain this one because the water's coming out a little murky. So of course we need to do something about that. All right, so we'll go through step by step and show you exactly what you need to do to drain your hot water heater. Before we go on to that, if by any chance you can turn off or shut off your hot water heater maybe the night before you drain it, I highly advise that. You can still probably take a shower in the morning, can probably even do the dishes the night before. In my situation, we haven't been in the house for a few days, so I shut this off about 5 days ago. So the water in there is maybe warm-ish, probably cold by now. But that way you're saving a little electricity on not heating water that you're then going to just send down the street or into your backyard. So if at all possible, see if you can turn off the power the night before you do this draining, and that way you save yourself a couple pennies so you're not sending hot water or wasting hot water. This whole process could take 2 to 3 hours to complete fully. So make sure you carve out a nice chunk of time during your day for this. Okay, the very first thing you need to do is shut off the power to your hot water heater. If you haven't done it already, shut off the power, go to the main breaker, switch it off. If you have a propane or a gas hot water heater, then turn your dial to pilot. If you turn it all the way off, then you're going to have to relight the pilot. So you can turn it to pilot, and that way it's not heating the water. Step 2. Shut off the water. Shut the water off to the hot water heater. You'll be using that lever, turning it on and off to stir up the sediment at the bottom of the tank as you're working at draining your tank. Step 3, after you've shut off the power and shut off the water to your hot water heater, then go to your hot water spigot and open up the hot water. There will be a little water that comes out there, but go ahead and open them up, and that way you're going to get some airflow going back into the tank, and it will help drain your tank a little bit more efficiently. Okay, now that we have everything shut off and we have the faucets open, let's go ahead and connect from the hot water heater to the pump, and then from the pump through my garden hose out into the woods. So here's the shut-off valve, or the valve to drain your hot water heater. Some of you might have an actual handle here that you can just crank it open. In my case, I have to use a screwdriver and do a quarter turn right there to let the water out. So I bought this particular hose specifically to put on here. It has a nice seal to it. And I have a towel under here just in case things start dripping. This is actually a finished basement, so I want to make sure I'm as neat as possible while doing this. So that's on there as firm as I can, and I'm not going to open that up yet because I don't have anything else connected to it. All right, so let's move on to the pump. Okay, so here's the situation we have so far. We have this hooked up here. It's not on yet. It runs out my door this way. Power has to come in right here for me, right up there to wall. You might have an outdoor outlet, which would be fantastic. This pump only starts and stops when you plug it in. There is no on and off switch on this pump. So, all right, so here we go, right out the door here. And there's a specific way. I'll do a little bit more of a breakdown on this pump in a minute here once we get going. So the water comes in, pumps out, and then I have my outdoor hose going all the way down here. Normally I run this a little bit straighter, but for the sake of this particular video, I'm going to end it right there so that I can get to it quickly and we can see what the water looks like. Normally I would extend it all the way out down there, but for today, I think right there is just good. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good that we're all set up here. Power's off, the water is off. I have the garden hose connected at the bottom here. I have the pump hooked up out there. The pump is not running yet. I'm going to start the water here and let it run all the way out to the pump, kind of listen for it for when it gets out there. And then I'll turn on the pump once I feel like the water's gotten that far. You don't want to let that pump run dry. For obvious reasons, it'll burn itself out. So wait till the water gets there and then turn the pump on. Once you feel like the water tank has gotten to the bottom, you will hear the pump begin to whine. So that's when you know that you're out of water. So make sure you're listening for that and you shut the pump off right away. And then we can start refilling the tank, and then we'll flush it out again. All right, so here we go. We have that. And I'm going to take this, see if I can do this with one hand here, and just give this a turn. There we go. Okay, and I heard some bubbles going on. My tank is off, or the water supply is shut off here, and I hear the draining taking place. So water is headed this way, folks, so we should probably go meet up with it. All right, I just stepped outside. I think the water has gotten to the pump, so let's go ahead and plug it in. And here we go. All right, there it is. You can hear it starting to catch the water. Let's go down here and see what's going on. Oh yeah, I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but you see that water's got a little bit of a tint to it. Certainly not as bad as it was back when I did it in March, but it certainly has some tint to it. So we'll let this run, and then we'll do the whole thing again. All right, so I went and grabbed the cup, and let's fill up the cup without getting, oh, look at that. Here's our water out in the sunlight. Not sure what the best angle is here for you. But you can certainly see that there is some tint to that. Keep an eye on the inside. Just put my hand down here. I don't feel any water at all, which is great. So, but have that towel there anyway to start catching a couple drops at least. You can really hear the air being sucked back through this faucet. This is the closest one in our downstairs basement powder or bathroom. You can really hear that air being sucked back through. Mainly because that pump is really pulling that water out pretty quickly. So you be sure to have these open. While the pump is doing its thing out there in the driveway, let's take a minute and look at the pump in a little bit more detail so you can see exactly how it works. All right, so let's take a little bit closer look at this pump from Harbor Freight, Drummond pump. First off, you notice I have it mounted on a piece of wood. It obviously didn't come with a piece of wood, but it has screw holes there for you to mount. So I got myself just a scrap piece of wood so that I could set it down anywhere. And then secondly is that this piece here, this piece here does not come with it either. So you need this because as you can see, there's a threaded male threaded male on both sides here. So you need to have something so that you can have your garden hose from the hot water heater coming into this side. Let's see. On this side, you'll see that there is only one direction this will go. It tells you what direction the water flow is. Okay, so today I had this coming in here, and I will say this piece right here, this piece only works in one direction. If you get it backwards, if you put this on backwards, there's going to be a lot of leaking in here, and I honestly cannot tell you. There is an indicator on here somewhere, but I can't tell you exactly which way to put this on. So if you put it on and it's doing a lot of leaking, then take it off and turn it around, and that would work for you. Okay, so from the house, or from the hot water heater, that was coming in here. That's going in there, and then this side goes out to the yard. Okay, and if you don't have it hooked up properly, you're certainly not going to pump any water. And then that goes out to the yard. You get one on and off, and that comes in the form of this cord right here. So when you plug this in, the pump turns on. When you unplug it, the pump turns off. So I had it hooked up to an extension cord today, and I run in, or when I hear that the water is done, then I quickly unplug it. You don't want to, again, you don't want to let this pump run dry. Sorry about that, my camera keeps getting shifted. You could also hook this up to a power strip of sorts if you wanted to. Now this piece here is something that you can put down on the floor to act as somehow that hooks up like that. Anyway, you put this on the floor, so if you have a flood in the basement, this piece here you just set on the floor. As you can see, there's an opening on the bottom here, and it will suck up the water that way. So a little while ago, we were having issues in our basement of some flooding and so forth, but that was before I had this magical little pump. If I had had this pump, I could just set this on the floor and suck up the water that way. Or if you wanted to use the shot vac, which I was doing, using the big shot vac, the 5-gallon vac, and then carrying it up the steps, you could, well, you wouldn't need this at that point, but you would have the shot vac, and then you would use the little pump to pump the water out your window. There is a way to pump this if your hot water is in the basement and you're pumping out your hot water tank from the basement out through the window. There is a height specification which I don't have with me right now. I'll post that in a picture. But you can pump it out the window, so you would have this, probably a shorter kind of connector hose that this one is, and then your longer hose, of course, would go right out the window. So it will work for you in that regard as well. All right, so that's a little overview of the Drummond Transfer Pump. A great little pump, a great little handy pump to have just around for the case that we used it today, and in other situations that you might need a transfer pump for liquids. In my case, water. Other people I've read have transferred oil or hydraulic fluid, all sorts of stuff. So for the price, you get a nice little pump here. Okay, it's at the end. Let me run and unplug. Yeah, you could hear that thing whining. All right, so that took about 15 minutes to empty this tank with that pump. This is a 50-gallon tank. So now I'm going to shut off the bottom and then turn the water back on up here. All right, so I just get my screwdriver back out and turn that back to the right. And that closes things off down there. Back up the top, pull this down. Actually, I'm sorry, push it up. And there you hear the water rush back inside. So I'm going to let this go for about 10 minutes. I'll let this go for about 10 minutes, fill it up about halfway, and then I'll repeat the cycle. Important to note here is to leave the faucets open, because now you hear all the water or all the air coming back out of that tank, whereas before the air was going into the tank. So leave the faucets open, and that'll help the water get back in there very efficiently. Okay, so so far it took about less than a half hour to drain the tank, and it just took less than 15 minutes to fill it back up. So it's completely filled back up again. So now I'll go ahead and do the same thing. I'll open the valve at the bottom. I'll let the water run out to the pump. Once I hear it's kind of out there at the pump, I'll turn the pump on. We'll let it empty, and then during this particular course, I'll turn on and off the supply valve to let water spurt in, stir things up, and then I'll shut it off again. And I'll show you all that, and off we go. And in the process, I'm having a little bit of lunch because other than just waiting for the water to drain and fill back up, there's not too much to this, and you just have to wait for things to happen. Okay, so this is what the water looks like. I just started the second emptying of the tank, and it looks murky now, so we'll have to really do some stirring up in there. This might take some time, folks. All right, we're about 10 minutes into the second drain, so I'm going to turn on the supply here. Let that pump in for a minute. Okay, and then I'm going to shut that off. All right, bring it back on. Okay, I think the outside, it is draining, isn't it? Just about to the bottom. Let's fill it. Okay, not sure what happened there. The pump was acting like it was out of water, and I didn't think it had been draining enough for it to be out of water. So I wonder if there was a clog in there or something, but it's back in action now, and I think I'm going to go ahead and stir it up again. Okay, so over the course of the next, I don't know, as long as you need to, go ahead and keep stirring it up and down with this. And then take a run out and check the water, see what it looks like. Yeah, we'll let that drain. Some folks suggest that you open up this pressure release valve right there to let air get into the tank as you're draining it. I am not going to touch that, and you can do what you feel safe with doing. I just understand that these are very sensitive, and perhaps if you open it, you may not be able to get it sealed again. And since this is on the side of my tank, I don't want there to be any leaks. So the air coming through the faucets is going through quite well. So I'm not even worried about even attempting the pressure release there. All right, so I just finished my second complete tank emptying while I was turning this on and off. So I am going to let it fill up one more time. The water is looking much better right now. I'll show you a picture of the water this time. The water looks very clear, but there's still some specks in it. I'm assuming it's specks of sediment. So let's go ahead and fill this up one more time. This will be our third complete fill. And then I'll do the same thing, turn the water on, off, as it's emptying, okay? And let's see what we come up with. All right, so here's, again, after our third, this is the third rinsing. So looking pretty good. Right before I started the video, though, a spurt of brown water came out again. So I guess we're still in the process here. You can see it has just a slight discoloration. But looking much better. Let me get a focus on that. Looking much better than it did previously. Yeah, pretty good. And then the other part is you see how this water is really coming out of here with that pump. It's doing a nice job. So it, again, it really speeds up the process of emptying out the hot water heater. Makes it almost bearable, right? All right, so this will be our fourth time. The third time, it's looking pretty good. You saw some of the specs, and still some stuff in the water. But let's just do a half a tank this time. Again, I'll shut it on and off and on and off, and then I think that'll be it. We'll let it fill back up, and then I'll go around and empty the aerators on the faucets that I can actually get the aerator off. And don't forget to shut off the bottom, which I've forgotten to shut off the bottom, so I'm going to do that now. All right, well, I accidentally filled up the tank all the way. I did not hear it. I was over working with a shop vac doing some cleaning, and the tank filled up all the way. So we'll do our fourth and final draining of the day. This will be it. I have a well. I don't want to run the well dry. So, and then I'll do some squirts on the supply line as we go this time. And we'll take a look out and see what the white cup has for us. Okay, so after the fourth tank full, that little pump is really making this water go fast. Let's see what we have here. Still a slight coloration of it, but not bad. Not bad. That was the fourth and last time for me. The water is looking good. It's not perfect, but it's looking much better than it did earlier. All right, so I will close the valve here, and then I'm going to head outside and unhook the pump, and then I'll come back in and I'll take this off. Okay, before I take this off, notice that there's hardly a drip. There is a drip right there. I'm wondering if that's condensation now, because that water that's coming out of the pump, or out of the hot water right now, is super cold because it's coming right out of the ground. So I'm going to take this side off first, and then I'll go back in and I'll take off that side because I want the water to drain out here more than getting the water on the inside. Okay, so both hoses are disconnected. I'm going to let them sit outside and dry out. And you can see, actually maybe you can't see, right here is just a couple drops of water that came out when I took the hose off. Obviously there's a few drops of water in there. So, dry that out. I think this is pretty watertight here. Sometimes these don't seal quite as well. So, get yourself a, this is a brass garden hose cap. You can find these at the hardware store, and put that on there, and that'll give you an extra seal just in case this doesn't seal up quite as tight as you would like for it. Put that on there, hand tight. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and turn the water back on, and I'll leave my faucets open so that the air will drain out through the faucets. And then once the water starts coming out through the faucets, I'll clean out the aerators, and then we can go ahead and turn the power to the hot water heater on. You could turn the power on as you're doing the aerators, but do not turn the power on before your hot water heater is filled. So let's go ahead and fill the hot water heater. All right, here we are in the upstairs bathroom. Unfortunately, this is the only aerator that I can actually just unscrew. The other aerators in the house I need those keys for that I'll have to get. Hold on, let's see what we have here. Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. The first time I did this back in March, man, there's a whole lot of stuff came out of it. Okay. Let's see what happens in the tub spout. I don't know if this comes through in the video or not, but you can kind of see discoloration a little bit on the tub. So I'll scrub that, I'll put bleach on it, and it comes up pretty good, but you can definitely tell there's a little bit of discoloration on the tub from this hot water. All right, so let's see what happens here. Hot. Ugh. Okay. Okay, it's far enough. Yeah. Okay, so I've run all the faucets. I cleaned out the ones that I could. I ran the tub faucet, you saw that. And I even came back to check. I took this cap off just to double check to make sure that that wasn't leaking, and we're in good shape. So I'm gonna put that back on. And then I go turn the hot water on. I want to do that right now. Okay, what I actually meant is the power to the hot water right there. Okay, and that's it, folks. Those are the steps that I took to drain this hot water heater. I ended up draining it 4 times. I intermittently pumped water in through the supply line, and I was greatly helped and aided by the Drummond Transfer Pump from Harbor Freight for about $60. This is a great little pump that you can have around and use it for hot water, emptying your hot water tank, and a number of different other little projects that a pump could really help you out. Okay, so that is it. Let me know in the comments below how your hot water emptying situation went for you. Did you get yourself a transfer pump? And this is a great pump. I'm sure there's other pumps out there, but at the price point, this is the best that I could find. So let me know how you did with your hot water. Did it come up clear? Were you able to actually empty it or empty the tank? Was it clogged? Just let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for stopping in at Lenderman Shop. I'd love for you to give a like to the video, maybe even subscribe. And until the next video, thanks for tuning in. Take care.